Hey guys, it's Gayesha and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be demoing all the foundations I have, going through coverage, color, undertone, and whether or not it oxidizes, creating a foundation shade Bible for the NC42 girl. Okay, so first up we have the ever faithful MAC Prolongwear foundation in the shade NC42. Now I know this foundation has sadly been discontinued, but I thought I'd put it in for a shade reference. Now, this one in particular is a medium to full coverage foundation with a matte finish. It's suitable for normal to oily skin, and even though I have normal to dry skin, I can get away with this one wearing a hydrating primer or even just a good moisturizer underneath. Now on camera, this foundation shade shows up a little yellow, and while it does have a golden undertone, in person it matches me perfectly, and I absolutely love this foundation and this shade. And the best thing about it is it does not oxidize, which is something I love about this one. Next up, we have a cult fave, and rightly so. It is the Fenty Beauty Profilt'r Soft Matte Longwear foundation in the shade 320. That was a mouthful. Now this foundation also has a matte finish. It's more matte than the MAC Pro Longwear and is suitable for people with normal to oily skin types. Now this one has more of a orange undertone, and it does become darker once the color dries. Now something that drives me absolutely crazy about this foundation, and I've actually gotten heat for this before, but for some reason this foundation looks really good on camera and looks like it's a perfect match for my skin and my face and my neck, but in person it actually looks quite muddy. So if you're after a foundation that is good on camera, then this is the one for you, but in person it just does not suit my yellow undertone in my skin. Since we are on the Fenty Beauty train, I'm going to keep it going, and here we have the Fenty Beauty Profilt'r Hydrating Foundation in the shade 330. Now this foundation has a beautiful dewy finish, and it's more suited for people with normal to dry skin types. Now this foundation has the yellow golden undertone that I love, but it does oxidize a little. So if you're around my skin color, it's not really noticeable, but if you're a little bit fairer than me, it might show up a bit more. On to another foundation that's also suited to dry skin types is the Makeup Forever Reboot foundation in the shade Y405. Now I would say that this one is a medium to full coverage product which claims to brighten, smooth, firm and hydrate. This one has more of an olive undertone and it does not oxidize, which is music to my ears. My problem though with this foundation is that it does not have a good shade range. So I picked up Y405, like I said, which was actually a little darker for me at the time when I did buy it, and the shade above Y365 was just way too light for me. So I feel like that there could have been 2 or 3 shades between the two ones that they did have, because I found that there was just such a big jump from color to color. Now next up we have one of my absolute favorite foundations, which is the Bite Beauty Changemaker Supercharged Micellar Foundation in the shade T105. Now this foundation almost has a whipped feel to it and it's super smooth. It's beautiful on the skin, and as with the last one, it has an olive undertone and it also doesn't oxidize, which is fantastic. This foundation is beautiful for mixing in with other foundations to create a good shade match, and I would say it has about a medium coverage. A new base product I have been playing around with is the Kosas Tinted Face Oil in the shade 6. And as someone who has dry skin and someone who likes lighter coverage foundation, I found this product to be very intriguing and interesting. Now, obviously, this shade was way too light for me and I should have went with number 7. but it was interesting because they had number 5 and 5.5 in shade ranges, but there was no 6.5 between the 6 and the 7, which I thought would be a better match for me if they did, because in store when I tried the 7, it just looked really dark, and maybe it was because I swatched it over wearing makeup and the lighting was in the store wasn't as good. But anyway, I like the finish of this foundation. It's obviously very, very light coverage because it is an oil, but even though it's an oil, it does not leave an oily, dewy residue or finish like you would expect. It almost mattifies and sets into your skin. But if you do have dry patches, this product does cling to those areas. So just keep that in mind. I may end up purchasing 7 to mix it in together with the 6 to create a better shade match, because I have seen people on YouTube do that, but it's quite an expensive foundation. I think it was around $67, and it's not like giving me super full coverage, so I don't know if I want to spend the money. But I do mix it in with the Bite Beauty foundation, and it works really well because it's a little bit darker than this one, and it gives me a good color match and it amps up the coverage. Okay, so the lucky last foundation I have is the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation in the shade Amber. Now, this is definitely a full coverage foundation, and I would say that this gives you a pretty satin finish. Amber has a very golden undertone, and while I love golden undertones, it's a little too yellow for my liking. But once you do get your highlight and your contour on, it's not really noticeable. So if you like the finish and the feel of the foundation, I feel like this would be a really, really good one. And here are all the foundations that I showed you guys today. Leave a comment down below of which ones you guys like the most. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos from me, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Bye!